You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired on Friday, the 29th of April of 1927.
Well, I suppose all of you have heard about that radio cookbook. You know, the one the United States Department of Agriculture is distributing free. If you haven't received yours yet, write in to this station. We'll pass your name along to Washington. But here's Aunt Sammy herself. She's out of the kitchen today. She's going out in the yard with you. She tells me she's going to talk about lawns and chickens.
I am going to talk lawns and chickens, but I'm going to keep the two subjects well separated. As some of you know from experience, they don't always get along well together. During the past few days, I've had a number of letters from my friends in town, as well as in the country. In glancing through the letters, I find there are several of you who want to know how to take care of the lawn. Of course, if I can help you make 2 blades of grass grow where only one grew before, I'm going to do it. For instance, here's a listener who writes, "When should I apply lime to my lawn, and how much?" The answer to that is never. Putting lime on the lawn is one of the worst ways to treat it. But if the man who wrote that is listening in, he needn't feel sad. He has plenty of company. There are a number of people who do that. Lime not only retards the grass, but it encourages the weeds. Many grasses will not grow when given a lime treatment. It's not so hard on bluegrass, but even in bluegrass it helps make the crabgrass, the clovers, and the dandelions flourish. The element all grasses need is nitrogen. Cottonseed meal is relatively high in nitrogen and makes an excellent fertilizer for the lawn, and it does not have a disagreeable odor. If you can't get cottonseed meal at your regular fertilizer store, you can at feed stores. Just broadcast about 12 to 15 pounds of cottonseed meal on each 1,000 square feet of lawn. You can get the best results if you use cottonseed meal 3 times during the season. Once in the spring, once in summer about the 1st of July, and then again about the 1st of September. Let's see. Here's another question on lawns. I won't read the whole letter. This one's from near Washington, D.C., but the answer applies to a wide strip more than halfway across the country. Should I sow grass in the spring or fall? This listener asks. In your part of the country, I'd say you'd better sow it in the fall. Wherever crabgrass is prevalent, the best results come from fall sowing. The crabgrass is likely to choke out the lawn grass you sow in the spring. Turf grasses are rather slow growers. But of course, there are 3 grass belts in the country. In the northern states, above the crabgrass belt, grass can be sown in the spring with good results. Also, in the Bermuda grass regions of the south, spring sowings are most successful. I almost overlooked the postscript. It says, "How often should I water the lawn?" Now, isn't it surprising? A lot of people don't know how to water the lawn. The tendency is just to sprinkle the surface. But some people go to the other extreme. They water too much. Of course, it depends on the weather and the kind of soil. On sandy soils, the lawn may need watering every day. On clay soils, every 2 or 3 days. You should water so as to get the ground damp for 3 or 4 inches down. Run a stick down, make a little hole, and see if the water has gone down that far. You'll soon get on to how much watering it takes to get enough at the grass roots. And while we are on the subject, I might say it's usually best to mow the grass every 4 or 5 days. If you let it get too long and then cut it, the sudden change from the more or less shaded condition will injure the roots. Now then, let's read a few questions about taking care of the chicks. You poultry people have been pretty patient. But here's a question that many of you may have asked yourselves. How can I make a good home-mixed mash for my growing chicks? This listener asks. In answer to this, the poultry experts of the United States Department of Agriculture tell me to mix 4 parts of yellow cornmeal, 2 parts bran, 1½ parts middlings, 1 part rolled oats, 1¼ parts meat scrap, and 1/4 part bone meal. Now, do you think you can remember that? Perhaps you had better write it down. I'll repeat. 4 parts of yellow cornmeal, 2 parts bran, 1½ parts middlings, 1 part rolled oats, 1¼ parts meat scrap, and 1/4 part bone meal. A good scratch feed to go with that mash can be made of equal parts yellow cracked corn and wheat. Here's a worried poultry keeper. He writes, I didn't have much green feed for my early broilers. To make up for that, I fed the chickens a pint of cod liver oil in every 100 pounds of their feed, just as I had been told to do. Now my customers complain that my chickens have a cod-fishy taste. How can I avoid that? That's easy. Just leave cod liver oil out of the ration 2 weeks before you market the broilers. And speaking of preparing chickens for market, I suppose you all know that poultry to be dressed should have empty crops when they're killed. Give them plenty of water, but no solid food for 24 hours before they are slaughtered. Now here's a little different trouble. Most of us don't hatch chicks early enough, but this listener seems to have overdone it. She writes, last year I hatched some early chicks, so I could have the pullets laying in the fall and winter when eggs are high, but the pullets grew too fast in the late summer. They started laying early, then went into a partial molt and quit producing. What's the best way to prevent that? In case pullets mature too fast in late summer, you can slow down the process by feeding less mash and more scratch feed, or you can reduce the quantity of meat scrap or protein in their mash. In case pullets fail to mature fast enough, you can improve things by feeding a moist mash once a day mixed with milk. That is, in addition to your regular dry mash. But if pullets are forced too fast and start to lay when they are 4 or 5 months old, they are inclined to be small and to lay small eggs, but that's looking ahead a bit. Speaking of feed for chicks, however, I can't pass on without saying a good word for milk. In feeding our chickens, we always use it. And we found it an excellent addition to all chick rations. We give it to them either as a drink or mix the milk in the mash. Milk not only hastens the growth of the chicks, but it tends to keep down the death rate and also helps prevent toe picking, which is often a bad habit among the chickens. Now then, here's another listener who wants to know about chickens. I won't read the letter. It seems that his chief worry is for green feed. He hasn't much room, he says, for the chickens to range and can't keep the land in grass. I know how that is, for a friend of mine who lives in town has the same problem. Her solution is to divide the yard space she has into 2 yards. 1 yard she sows to a quick-growing grain such as wheat, oats, rye, or barley. The other yard she uses for the chickens until the grain in the green yard is 2 or 3 inches high. Then she turns the chickens in on the green yard and sows the other yard to grain. This finishes our talk on lawns and chickens. Next week is National Child Health Week, and all the programs will be planned with the children in mind.
This broadcast was researched and produced by Breakaway Empire LLC.